everybody. Happy Election Day. We're here talking about stress.
Oh, so appropriate, isn't that?
We planned it this way.
Yes,
Our planning is stellar.
All right. Well, we've got a lot to go over today. We encourage your participation because I think this is really something that, unless you've been living under a rock or you're like up in a Buddhist temple somewhere, I don't think you're able to escape stress these days. So I think we've got some really good topics here and some solutions for you guys.
Yeah. If you happen to have the cabin on the mountain where all the Buddhist monks are, please invite us because we need that vacation
yes.
too. Yeah. So let's hey Dee Dee. Let's start by looking at what stress is. So we throw around the stress word a lot, and it's because we have a lot of stress around.
Well, it means different things to different people too. So basic definition I think is important.
Yeah. So stress has three main parts where stress can come from. The one that we most often think about, and the one that we're going to talk about today, is emotional stress. So like the kind of stress when you're in traffic or when you're at odds with somebody or you're not living up to your own expectations, that kind of stress. Mm-hmm. But there's two other kind of stresses, and I just want to talk about them briefly so that we have some sort of frame of reference. And the other two kinds of stresses are physical stress and chemical stress. Physical stress is overworking yourself, sitting way too long at your desk, something traumatic like an accident or a fall down the stairs, something like that. Those are stresses on your body, and your body chemically responds in the same kind of way that it does from any other type of stress. Mm-hmm. So those are important too, and it's important to take care of your body so that you're not storing and continuing to have that kind of stress recurring on a physical level. And then chemical stress is the kind of stress that you get when you overdo it on sugar or you live in an area that has high air pollution. All of the chemicals we might put on our face, our hair for sake of beauty, things like that. Chemicals that are coming into our body that, again, are causing our body to respond to those stresses, but on a chemical level. So, three types of stress. Your body responds to them all in a similar way: physical, chemical, and emotional.
Yeah, some of us, the emotional stress I think is what we usually think about. Yeah. Those other two, really can play a huge part in how your immune system functions, your heart health, just overall the function of your body. So it's important to look at all of them because sometimes, we've got patients walking in here all the time that have the trifecta. I mean, they've got all three of them going on. So identifying where it's coming from is really important. So we're going to go through a lot of these and help you out with that.
And I think sometimes the emotional stress is a little bit harder for people to control or to manage in their life because it's not something that you can look at or see.
Yeah.
Whereas you can physically change your diet, or you can physically feel that you're sitting in that chair for way too long if you're talking about chemical or physical stress. Mm-hmm. But sometimes when we're under emotional stress, that's not really something that we become aware of as quickly as we do the other things.
Right.
It's a little bit more less tangible.
Yeah. So there are ways to actually, monitor and test the stress that your body is under. And one of the things that we have here in our office is called heart rate variability. Heart rate variability is becoming the gold standard in many cardiologists' offices because they are looking at it as a way to determine mortality. I mean, that's huge. I mean, they can actually look at this and say, hey, this person may be heading 1 foot in the grave, really. So it's a great way to monitor and also just determine a baseline about exactly where you're at.
So just to review that for a second, they're looking at stress to tell how healthy you are to the point of morbidity, like death.
Yeah.
So we're talking about serious stuff here.
Yeah, it's becoming the gold standard. It really is. And just to kind of give you a brief story, you know, when I go over HRV with patients, I like to tell them a story about a zebra. Have you ever heard of a zebra ever getting an ulcer?
I've never heard of a zebra getting
Never
an
heard
ulcer.
of a zebra getting an ulcer. Well, think about this. You've got a zebra in the wild. You know, the whole herd is hanging out, drinking, eating, doing what zebras do. And all of a sudden a lion or a tiger comes out. Well, that's a stressor, right? That puts them into immediate sympathetic response. All the blood shunts to their appendages. Their eyes get really big, and then they run, right? They run away from danger.
For their life.
It's that fight or flight of the sympathetic nervous system. And when the danger is gone, what do zebras do? Do they constantly think about where the next lion and tiger is? Are they all upset and all angry and oh my god, when is it coming? No. They go back to doing what zebras do. Now, in today's fear-based society, I mean, everybody be frightened of everything. Alligators, Zika, our next president. We have to.
Some legitimate, some not.
Exactly. You know, there's always something for us to be afraid of. So really, we are running away from that lion and tiger 24/7, even in our sleep.
Yeah. Yeah, we overbook ourselves and run late. So we're stressed out because we're in traffic and we've got the meeting, and after the meeting, we're stressed out because we didn't have time to pack our lunch, and what are we going to do? Mm-hmm. And meanwhile, we're listening to the news on the radio, and they're talking about the presidential election. What else would they be talking about? So we're constantly feeding that fear, anxiety beast. And it's because of some of our own decisions. So I think it's really important to take a critical look at what are you feeding your brain. You know, are you contributing in your choices to the kind of stress that's going on in your mind, and in your mind equals in your body.
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole area of study. It's actually called, I got to read it because it's a long one, psychoneuroimmunological study. I mean, there's actually a whole realm of study associated with how stress impacts the body. And over time, this is what it can actually do to you. And it's really not those little stresses that we can work through and get over rather quickly. It's the longer you have the duration of a stress in your life, whether it's physical, chemical, or emotional, it can lead to things. Now, I'm going to read off these things and just listen to it and see if this actually describes you, a family member, a friend, a coworker, whatnot. It says it can lead to a weakened immune system, increased cardiovascular damage, so that's your heart health, gastrointestinal problems such as ulcers and irritable bowel syndrome, decreased fertility, impaired formation of long-term memories, and damage to certain parts of the brain. It also includes fatigue, an increased likelihood of osteoporosis, type 2 diabetes, clinical depression, accelerated aging, and premature death. Wow, sign me up. So, I mean, really think about it. This is what is plaguing our society right now. This is virtually everybody that you know or even I know.
Yeah, yeah. So, to put that into other terms, the longer that you have a stress, even if it is maybe a little bit lower on the scale, so it's not like your biggest stress ever, but you're under constant long-term stress, it can cause all of those things that Dr. Taylor just read off. So you're looking at bowel issues, you're looking at immune system issues, you're looking at, again, early death. Like that seems to come up on all of the research about stress.
You know? So that's a big part of it. And to me, you know, with everybody that we see coming into our office, I can honestly say 100% of people that come into our office have at least one or even all of these issues. 100%.
Yeah. And I don't think that we're immune either. Mm-hmm. I think it's a really big, difficult task to take on in today's society. Emily says, sounds like a list of election side effects.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we all be cured tomorrow. Who knows?
Yeah, have good news. Tomorrow it's over.
Done. Election fatigue.
2 years of campaigning, done. Yeah. So I have two really interesting stories that I wanted to tell you guys about how stress and how we perceive stress affects the body. So you all know Caitlin, who works at the front desk, and she gave me permission to share this story, which is slightly humorous, but it really drives home the point. So Caitlin was going about her duties in the office, and a patient scared her. And I won't go into the details because that's patient privacy, but she was scared, like high level, like scared. And she walked out of that room and she said, I think I just felt my atlas go out.
Right.
So she had this huge scare. She felt a shift in her body, and she was aware enough, which is really, really cool, to feel the physical effect that emotional stress had on her. And sure enough, we checked her, and her atlas was out of alignment. So what happened there was that stress was big enough that she blew the main breaker switch in her body. And so then, if Caitlin hadn't known about Atlas, she hadn't known about the effects that Atlas C1 have on the entire body, she might have walked around like that for years. The rest of her life, maybe. I'm really thankful that she knew about that. She had the body awareness to feel it, and we were able to take care of that so that event of stress didn't cause long-term damage for her. Mm-hmm. So that's something I want you guys to be aware of too. If you ever have a really, really stressful situation and you feel like, hey, I'm not really recovering from this the way that maybe I feel like my body should.
Yeah.
I hate the word should, but y'all get what I mean, right?
We are self-healing organisms.
Yeah. So that would be something, again, to put into your little mental checklist of, maybe I need to get checked today.
Yeah, and we encourage that.
The other story that I wanted to tell you guys was about a patient who recently got married. So, yay, congratulations. So she had a lot of wedding stress, and then she went on a honeymoon. So she flew, 12, 14 hours to their destination, had a week and a half of honeymoon, flew back, got on the table, said, I don't know how everything's going to be. I feel pretty good. But it's been a little while since I've been adjusted, and I had all this travel, and so we checked her, and she had a couple of areas that needed tuned up, like very, very minor, what I would consider a pretty routine tune-up type of adjustment. Same patient, then went back to work after her honeymoon, started back into the daily grind here in Dallas, Texas, had the stressors coming at her of day-to-day life, and next adjustment, it was like fireworks left and right.
Yeah.
And I actually see this a lot with people when they go on vacation and they're traveling, but traveling maybe is physically tough, but they're mentally really, really enjoying what they're doing. Mm-hmm. The stress is gone. They're having just a great vacation, and the physical stress of things doesn't affect their body the way that maybe some lesser physical stress combined with emotional stress can create havoc in the body.
Yep, that's absolutely true.
Let me see what we got here. Just got out of a meeting at work regarding our new health insurance plan. Talk about stress overload. Ooh, sorry about that. Yeah, I've heard a lot about premiums going up about 25%.
Yeah, on average.
On average.
More than that, yeah.
And that is exactly, you guys, why we put together the concierge plan.
Yes.
Because this has been common a long time, and it's going to get worse before it gets better.
We saw the writing on the wall, and that's why we're doing what we're doing now, because, insurance today, it's great if there's an emergency or a major, major health issue. However, to stay healthy, it's not really going to do you much good.
Yeah. Paying a lot of money for...
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's a whole other Facebook Live event.
Yeah, but stressful, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So maybe some of the techniques we'll talk about a little bit later will help you.
Yeah. So this time of year, what do we call this time of year? We're going into the holiday season where, eating way too much sugar. It gets dark now, like dead of night dark at 5 o'clock at night. Did you guys notice that yesterday? Yeah. And we're under a lot of stress just because of traveling for the holidays, dealing with the holidays, relatives, the whole 9 yards, right? But this is what is called flu season, right?
Oh yeah, flu season.
Did you know the flu is around 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days of the year? Did you know that? The flu doesn't migrate like birds, okay? It doesn't do that. Did you know that? It doesn't migrate like birds. The flu's always with us. However, this time of year, we don't get enough vitamin D because we're not out in the sun. We eat too much sugar, which completely destroys the immune system, and we're under a lot of stress. So you've got the chemical, the emotional, and the physical, the trifecta, as I mentioned before, happening during this season. So this is why the flu props up more than often, This is why it happens. So the immune system itself really needs to be addressed during this time. There was actually a 10-year study. It was a 10-year study. It was from 1982 to 1992. College students, first-year college students, and they actually tested their stress level over a 3-day test time. Final exams. Typical final exam time, usually a week to 3 days. What they found out is they had significantly decreased from prior to this time frame of the 3-day test taking to after. They had decreased natural killer cells. These are the cells that fight tumors and viral infections. Decreased. And they almost completely stopped producing the rest of the cells that help with the entire immune function. Like dead. They had no immune system at all. And this is just during a 3-day test taking time, which happens, every year, sometimes many times a year for kids. And this is just over 3 days. They actually showed too that they suffered longer with this immune decrease when they had that kind of first year loneliness. Their senior year in high school, they knew everybody, but now it's just your first year of being away from home for most kids. They maybe have yet to meet, a good core group of friends. And it got actually worse. They had a really hard time recovering. A lot of them had to recover over the entire Christmas break during that time and didn't even recover until they actually got back to school.
Wow.
That was just over 3 days.
So a 3-day stressful event caused the body to reduce the number of immune cells that are there to fight, and it took sometimes weeks to recover.
That's just
Wow.
a 3 days. Think about if it's been a long-term stress. Yeah. Those long-term stressors can significantly decrease your immune system. And one of the things that comes to mind for me for that long-term stress would be cancer. Because the number one system in your body that has failed with cancer is your immune system. Your immune system failed to detect that abnormal cell, and it was allowed to proliferate. This is long-term implications for many, many, many people.
Wow.
I know. Crazy, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I bet that most of us could think about an instance where we've been really stressed and then gotten a cold or gotten sick or some other physical event then happened in our body.
Yeah, it goes from one thing to the other. Yeah, I've been really, really stressed out. Eating bad, and boom, you get sick.
Yeah.
How many times has that happened to you?
Yeah, and it's pretty common for college students, just like the study was, to get sick at break time. And that very possibly related to the test that they take prior to break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you feed your body? How do you feed your body so you can, because stress isn't going to go away. Let's just be real. Stress is not going to go away. But nutrition plays a huge role in keeping that chemical stress under control. Again, we're going to briefly talk about this because I think the emotional stress is really where a lot of us are struggling. But this is something that you can do, something you can tangibly take a look at, as Dr. Christie mentioned before, and it's the nutrition aspect. Now, you have several different nutritional components in you that can help handle stress. Your B vitamins, the B complex vitamins, are your stress vitamins. And then you have stress minerals, particularly magnesium. Now, when you're under stress, your body burns through this like fire does kerosene, So we need to understand that absorbing these nutrients are really key. It's not just simply taking a supplement or eating good foods. It's really how your body is functioning that allows you to absorb them. So one of the things that we do...
I'm going to go grab them.
Oh, yeah. So one of the things that we do here in our office is called an organ reflex exam. This allows us to take a look at how your body is actually absorbing these nutrients. Both of these vitamins, the B complex vitamins as well as the mineral magnesium, are actually absorbed in the stomach lining. So how many of you have been or have suffered from or the acid reflux and have taken antacids before? I know a lot of people, it's that stress-induced acid reflux. We're always told you're in too much stress, you're going to get an ulcer. How many times have you heard that over and over again? Well, taking an antacid reduces your body's ability to absorb those really substantial B vitamins and magnesium. The reason is it lowers the pH of your stomach. When the pH of your stomach turns it raises it. I'm sorry, I'm going backwards here. It actually raises the pH of your stomach. It becomes too alkaline, and you can't absorb, especially your minerals. And that magnesium mineral is really key to everything from, being able to digest food properly, to sleep, to making sure that the whole digestive system functions properly, and to handle stress. Your B vitamins are only absorbed in the stomach lining.
Yeah.
So there's inflammation there. I mean, there's no way that you can do this. So taking an acid for that stress-induced acid reflux or ulcer is actually going to perpetuate the problem, 100-fold.
Yeah. And so that's where we really strongly recommend the organ reflex exam for the people in our office, or for, if you're not local, a practitioner that does holistic healthcare can help you with this, because we want to make sure that you are absorbing those nutrients so that your body does have the resources that it can deal with the stress that you can't prevent. The B vitamins and the magnesium hold on, let me back up. If your digestion is good and you can get your nutrients through your stomach, the magnesium that we recommend is the Natural Calm. And this is going to be backwards, guys, I think, sorry. But Natural Calm, and it's just a powder that you can put into your drink. Very easily absorbable, delicious. They have flavors and they have non-flavored. I personally like the non-flavored.
Yeah, I like the raspberry.
Some people like that, different flavors. And then we do have just specifically a B vitamin, but for most people we have a multi that has all of the B's in it. And the one that we really, really like is Pure Synergy. This is the women's, and then this is the men's. And this has so many things in it that help specifically men and women, including your B vitamins and some other, this particular one, the vitamin herb, has some herbs that help your body to regulate and deal with stress as well.
And the herbs in general, this is meant to be a daily multi, so it's not, a very strong herbal concoction, because you don't want to be taking herbs that are very, very strong every single day. This particular product has herbs in it that are safe to take on a daily basis and in dosage that are safe to take on a daily basis to help support the natural processes of your body.
It's more support and less triage. Like if you're in triage, you're going to need something else. But day-to-day preventative support, it's going to have everything that you need. Okay, so let's see. Sinira says, how do you take the magnesium? So it's so easy to take. The recommended serving size is 2 teaspoons, But you really, if you're taking it for the first time, you want to start maybe a quarter of a teaspoon.
They have really good directions on here that definitely to go by as far as how to increase that amount too.
Oh, look at that. They sure
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Magnesium can cause GI distress if you take too much of it all at once. So I do not recommend that. You would have to stay like lassoed to your loo, which
Yeah.
Most people don't want to do that. So you do start small, and then you can work yourself up to the serving size. And some people will never quite get all the way up to 2 teaspoons. Some people will tolerate that just fine.
Mm-hmm.
Another really, really great way to get magnesium is through epsom salts. Mm-hmm. And we're going to talk a little bit about some techniques to reduce stress later. But if for whatever reason you cannot tolerate this, you can absorb magnesium really, really well through your skin. So Epsom salts, there's magnesium sprays and things like that too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Epsom salt bath is something that, especially when you're first starting care, sometimes the muscles can get a little bit sore because, an adjustment's really a passive form of exercise. I mean, you're opening up all sorts of different channels. Those muscles are starting to work again. So we always recommend an Epsom salt bath, whether it's after your first adjustment or not, just to kind of reduce that stress in the body, just relax. Give yourself that 10 minutes.
Passive exercise?
Yeah. Maybe not for us.
Oh yeah, not from the practitioner perspective. That's definitely not passive. Okay. One of the topics that I wanted to just talk a little bit about and briefly is the aspect of stress that I think a lot of us put ourselves through when we have expectations that are not meeting reality. So in our mind, we have set up the way that something should be, and we either try and make our environment fit that box, or we try to make ourselves fit that box. I talk to so many people. This is a topic I like, so I'll bring it up a lot. But so many people who say, oh yeah, I realized that I was shaping myself or shaping my life the way that I thought other people wanted it to be. Mm-hmm. So often that other person is a parent or a loved one, and that's absolutely nothing against parents and loved ones. That's just who we love and admire.
Yeah.
And so we often get an idea in our head of how we should be. And y'all know how much I love that word should. How we should be. And it creates so much stress in our life that just doesn't need to be there. And so there are some tools that I want to recommend as far as getting to know yourself. I strongly believe that each person is created exactly the way that they're supposed to be. Mm-hmm. And to try and fight against that is just... it
makes your life miserable.
It makes your life miserable. Yeah. It's not going to work. You're creating stress for yourself that doesn't need to be there because of some unrealistic expectation. And it's unrealistic because it's not you.
You're limiting your purpose in life.
You're limiting yourself. You're limiting your purpose. I like that. Yeah. And so I think that there are some tools that can help us to look and see a little bit more about ourselves and understand how our brain works and the things that we personally need to understand ourselves better and therefore live more fully in our own lives. And some of my favorites are the Enneagram, Enneagram, Enneagram. And these all have books that go with them, or you can easily Google them, and there's all sorts of personality type testing that you can do. There is something called Strength Finders that I really like. Yeah, we've done that together as an
team.
office.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. MBTI, Myers-Briggs type analysis. And there's a lot about that one out there. That one's one of the more popular ones. And so if you do decide to go down that route and look a little bit more, it's then easy to take those results and put yourself into a little different box. I would warn against that. What the purpose of looking at all of this would be to get to know what your purpose, your personality, your wants and desires are.
What makes you tick?
What makes you tick, so that you can let go of all of those expectations that you place on yourself that other people place on you. And then my all-time favorite one, because it's easy and fun, is one called DYT, or Dressing Your Truth. And I have a few patient friends that know about this. I talk about it all the time because it literally changed my life. I'm telling you guys. And it looks at it from such a fun perspective of fashion and clothes, to get to know yourself better. And the ultimate purpose of DYT, or Dressing Your Truth, and that's by an author named Carol Tuttle, is that it looks at personalities, and it helps you to understand how to honor yourself and who you are and how you were made and designed to be in your life. And ultimately, I found that to be a huge help in reducing stress and finding life purpose and joy. So I really, really encourage you to check those things out. And I'll put some resources in the comments underneath.
Yeah, that's basically starting from the foundation, I think. Just figuring it all out, because I think a lot of us have the tapes running in our head about who we should be, where we should be by now, how successful we should be, even the careers that we have chosen. Sometimes we haven't chosen our careers. I think some of us are out there that careers have been chosen for us, or just what you think you should be or who you should be. So this is a great way to lay that foundation.
Yeah.
So you can start there and move forward.
Yeah. Don't give yourself more to stress about.
Yeah, exactly.
There's enough that you can't control.
Yeah.
So let's talk about a few strategies for reducing stress. So,
well, there's one of the ones that we use here a lot in our office is EFT. It's Emotional Freedom Technique. A great website is emofree.com, emofree.com. And there's so many great resources, YouTube videos on there about how to do this. It's simple, it's free, and you can do it any time of the day. It can take anywhere from 30 seconds all the way up to 5-10 minutes, depending on how long you want to do it.
Yeah.
And what it does is it uses different meridian points, similar to acupressure points. Mm-hmm. And you tap into those. It's literally tapping. There's certain areas of the body that are these meridian points, and you tap into those. And you can either do an affirmation while you do the tapping, or you can even, prayer is also a big one that people use. It kind of depends on, again, what makes you tick, what is going to fuel you for that day. It can actually take the edge off a very stressful situation, like the office meeting about the insurance. Coming out of that, right?
Yeah, coming out of that, I wouldn't maybe necessarily recommend doing this in the meeting.
No. After the meeting, rate yourself. Where was your stress level on it? 10 being the top, so it was a 10. Rate your stress level prior to doing the tapping, and then after, rate it after, and see how it can take the edge off. Now, is it going to take the stress level completely away? Because the stressor is still there, but it's going to take that edge off so it doesn't affect you health-wise.
Yeah. So do you guys want to do some tapping together?
Yes. Okay.
Okay. So I'll do some statements, because it is important to speak with this
out loud.
So this is, and then you're tapping. So this is why you might not want to do it in the meeting. Yes. That might be a disturbance. But you can perfectly well do it in the car, or in the bathroom, in your office. Mm-hmm. If you're around friends and family, they'll love you with your tapping. Exactly. You can do it at the Thanksgiving table.
Exactly. Make them all join in.
Everybody will be just a little happier.
And just so you know, we will have resources available. We do actually have things here in the office that you can take home as well. So we can have all that available to you if you want to know a little bit more.
And if you're really, really stressed out, doing this tapping with the laser is awesome.
Yes.
So just let us know, and we will hook you up with that.
Yes.
But you don't need the laser. You don't need anything special. All you need are your own two hands and to be able to speak.
Yes.
And if you can't speak, if you're in a really stressful situation, just do it without the speaking part.
Yeah,
but speak
works.
Later.
Yes.
Okay, so here we go, you guys. So just follow after me. We're going to start right here, and this one's called the karate chop. So I'm taking this hand, and I'm tapping on this part of this hand.
Right where the pinky meets the palm on the side.
Like as if it's called the karate chop spot. Like, karate chop. Okay, so, wait, stop. Rate your stress first. I'm getting ahead of myself.
Okay.
Okay, so my stress, I'm not really feeling very stressed right now, so maybe like a 2.
2 or 3.
2 or 3, okay. So you guys got your number, because we're going to come back to it at the end. Okay, now we can start. So tapping pressure, it doesn't have to be very hard. You're not going to do it wrong, just something that I imagine some people would like more pressure and some people would like less. So just whatever feels good to you. Okay, so I just learned that stress kills. That's a little stressful.
Yes.
Now we're going to move up here to the top of the head. This one's called the crown of the head point. It doesn't matter what these points are called. You're just tapping them. So I learned that stress can kill, and I don't want that in my life. Moving above the eyebrow. And again, it doesn't matter either side. So I'm going to let go of stress. Moving to the side of the eye. Stress has no place in my life. Well, maybe some stress. Some stress is okay. Some stress can help me. Mm-hmm. Some stress is applicable. Some stress is right. But I'm not going to have that kind of stress that drags me down and takes my health. That kind of stress has no place in my life. And I have techniques to let that stress go. And now we're going to go under the arm, right here. I can be happy and successful and free without stress. Coming back to the top of the head. I can be stress-free.
Okay, rate yourself. Everybody feel really zen right now?
That was so easy, right? Like it doesn't matter what you say. So say you're really angry about something and you want to bring your levels down. Mm-hmm. I mean, you can sit there and be like, insert curse words if you must.
Yes.
What you say doesn't matter. How hard you tap doesn't matter. Which side of the face, it doesn't matter. It's a technique that will work regardless. And it will absolutely bring your stress levels down.
I think a big part of EFT too is recognizing the stress. Because when you recognize it, when you name it, you actually take power away from it. You have to acknowledge it. You can't just bury it or anything. You have to acknowledge that stress. And when you talk about it, you say, you know what? I heard that stress kills. I mean, that can be really stressful to even know about that, because especially if you're a stress monster, and you're under a lot of it right now. Yeah. So using that technique to acknowledge it and just completely take the power away from it is what makes EFT so powerful.
Yeah. So how did you feel after doing just one round? Did you notice any difference? I think I did a little bit. Yeah. And they really recommend that you do 2 rounds. So you would just go through all of those points twice, and it's going to take you, 30 seconds.
Yeah, so it's really quick, and it's something that you can do several times a day, but it's doing it is what makes the big difference.
Very time effective. And Emily's mentioning she has a affirmation that she's going to use about digestion. So you can use this about physical complaints as well.
Phobias.
You
can
headaches.
Get over phobias. Fear of spiders and flying and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
so
I
you can use it for that.
Have a story about that, which I used to be a little bit of a nervous flyer. And so I would always tap, and being on the airplane, some people would, I just didn't feel comfortable doing that. So I was just using the karate chop point, which you can do pretty discreetly, just on your lap. And I finally got to this point where I was less stressed, and it allowed me to have a visualization about flying that has completely taken away all stress. Whereas I used to think about the airplane like this big hunk of metal, like fighting against gravity to like take you to your destination.
Kind of is.
No, it's not. No, it's not. And that was stressful to me because I could just envision like all of a sudden that thing going to the ground, which I logically know that's not the way that airplanes work, but it didn't help me with the fear part of it.
That's why phobias are, right? That's why phobias are.
So I was using the EFT tapping, and I had a visualization of, you know those milkweed pods that just kind of float in the air?
Oh, yeah.
And they there's no way they're just going to flop to the ground. That's not the way they work, right? And so I had a visualization of the airplane being similar to those milkweeds. What are they called? Milk pod?
Dandelion too, right? They call them milkweed and dandelion and all that kind of stuff. So
y'all know what I'm talking about. And so that was probably maybe 5 years ago. And I find myself on an airplane a lot, and it's been awesome. I don't have any anxiety now. I was on a recent trip where it got a little bit bumpy, and there were people, and I really felt calm, which was super cool and a great testimonial for EFT because I would never have gotten there without it. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Teenage repellent. When I start tapping, he usually walks away.
That's awesome.
That's funny. And, you know, I've heard people say, actually, I don't know if this would work with a teenager because you'd have to, like, tackle them, but I've heard people say that they actually do the tapping on their young child.
Oh, yeah, there's several videos about that out there where you can actually do that for...
Yeah, so you can turn it into a game with a really young child, you know, tapping on different points for them. So, you know, they're not going to be able to do that, but you would, you know, do the karate chop for them and go to the top of the head. And I've heard moms talk about that to help their child go to sleep, which is pretty cool. That's a great technique. Don't know if I recommend that on your teenager, Dee Dee, although, you know, you can try it. Let me know how it goes. Okay, so some other top stress reducers. Get into nature. Study after study have shown that people who interact more with nature have lower stress levels. And I think that there's probably a few reasons why that's true. But we are part of our ecosystem. And when we're completely removed from that, it does create a certain amount of stress in our bodies.
Yeah, with the fluorescent lights, the concrete jungle, and we're just not connected to the earth as much as we used to be anymore.
Yeah. Take a bath. I like this one.
Yeah, Epsom salts, lavender.
I use this one a lot in the winter. In the summer, I tend to be more in my pool. In the winter, a nice warm bath with the Epsom salts. You're getting your magnesium. You're relaxing. It's a great stress reliever. Have sex. You heard it here first.
Yes.
It's good for your health.
It's the parasympathetic rest and digest part of the nervous system. It's fantastic.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know about parasympathetic, there are several divisions of the nervous system, but one part that looks at how you're handling stress, and it's actually beneficial in both parts, so it's not a right and a wrong. But you have your sympathetic part of your nervous system, which is more get you up and going. If there is an emergency, it'll give you some hormones to run or to fight. And then there's your parasympathetic, which is nicknamed rest and digest, which is more for tissue healing and resting and digesting. And so when you have sex, specifically when you have orgasm, you are in the parasympathetic part of your nervous system. And so if you're really stressed out, it can bring you into balance. So you heard it here first, girls.
Yes.
And guys. Hug your pets. Oh,
I know.
Yeah.
I know. I mean, anytime I've got 2 cats, and anytime either of them just come jump in my lap. I mean, it's such a peaceful feeling, you know. And you and your dogs. I mean, that is. I don't know. Even just petting an animal. That's why they bring animals to hospitals, to nursing homes. It actually increases your life expectancy by doing that.
Yeah.
By having a pet or hanging out with pets.
And most people have heard now that a lot of they're using service dogs for people with PTSD
Mm-hmm.
or other similar anxiety in that anxiety family, and it helps to reduce their stress as well. And those dogs are specifically trained then for additional responsibilities. But you can do this with your own pet at home. You get a nice oxytocin release, which is a
Mm-hmm.
calming and connecting hormone. So,
Yeah.
yeah, watch out, pets.
We're gonna get some hugs today.
Get into flow time.
I love flow.
Do y'all know what flow is?
That's my favorite word.
A flow activity is something that you are doing and your brain is not engaged. That's not true. Your brain is so engaged that you're not thinking about all of these other things going on. So for some people that would be playing music,
Reading.
getting into art, things like that. I get this when I am taking pictures, photography. It's one of those things, like, I can get crouched down into like a really uncomfortable position, and if I was in yoga class, my mind would be going, oh, this hurts, I can't do it, my legs. But if I have a camera in my hands and I'm trying to get that perfect shot, I will be in that position for so long, my toes will go numb, and I don't even realize it because my mind is so focused. And that kind of activity is something that brings your stress level down and lets your soul breathe.
Yeah, I think for me, mine is research. I mean, how do you guys know that? I could go down a rabbit hole all day long because I love it. I enjoy learning new things, and so that's probably one of the things that we're reading was one of the things is just really, really looking at the research in certain areas, and that gives me peace, and it gives me that knowledge that I like to, just to be able to relay things back to you guys as well.
Take a nap.
I wish I was a good napper.
So this one works more for some people than other people.
Yeah.
And going back to get to know yourself, not all of these things are going to be right for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But if you are somebody who enjoys napping or can get benefit from it, it's a great stress reliever. I personally am one of those people, so if I've had a stressful event, if I can just sleep it off for a little while, I can be like a new person. So again, that's
Mm-hmm.
me,
Yep.
and maybe you. If it's not you, then disregard that. Some people wake up more grouchy than they ever were to begin with,
Yeah.
so that would not be for you then. Massage.
Yeah, I like massage. I can do that.
Massage. I think most people really connect massage with relaxing. And, one of the things that you're going to notice a trend in this list is connecting.
Mm-hmm.
So, we are social creatures. We're meant to connect with other people. We're meant to have touch. And so massage is part of that. And a lot of times massage is recommended for like the elderly or people who might not have a lot of touch in their life.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that can, again, release those hormones that help them to feel relaxed and calm and comfortable and loved.
I really think in today's society we're really touch starved. What I've always heard that you need 12 hugs a day for survival. Have you heard that before?
Some of us might gonna have to get after our dogs for those hugs.
Exactly. That's why we hug a lot here in this office.
Yeah.
Hugs are in abundance here.
And that's another thing. Chiropractic is a very high touch healing art. And so that is part of what we offer our patients with every adjustment is that hands-on love, connection.
Yeah.
So, and then laughter. Need I say more?
Yes. It's always fun. Have you ever laughed so hard, that you just, your entire body is just tingling and alive? I mean, that right there is awesome.
Yeah. And then the last one this one is more for women than for men, and that's based off of how women's brains are. Mm-hmm. And that one is to talk about it with your friends.
Having a strong social circle, whether male or female, is really important. However, with women, it's even more important. In some cases, if you look at the way men's brains are wired, men, I'm not saying all men, but a lot of men actually think of talking as work. It stimulates a different part of their brain. However, with women, it connects the two sides of the brain and balances us out a little bit, so it helps keep our stress levels low, being able to talk out our issues, not necessarily solving them, right?
Yeah.
It's just talking things out is essential for women's health and immune function, everything.
Yeah. So women, remember this, maybe don't go home and expect that from your husband, but expect that from your social circle of other women who also benefit from that same discussion.
Yeah.
So.
There was actually, again, studies, me. These are 4 large studies. It was what they call meta-analysis, where they look at a bunch of studies. And if you want to see something really tangible, so they actually looked at blood pressure, looked at several different things. The blood pressure I thought was really interesting. So all of us know that having diabetes increases your risk of high blood pressure. Okay, that's probably one of the comorbidities of having type 2 diabetes. However, lack of social connections also can increase your blood pressure. So there's a percentage amount on here, they looked at it. If you have type 2 diabetes, it gives you a 70% increased risk to have also high blood pressure. However, your lack of close friendships could actually increase your blood pressure 124%. So basically, not having friends causes more high blood pressure than having type 2 diabetes. Think about that. I thought that was pretty significant. It also, not having friends increases your risk for dementia. So, right there, that's running rampant right now too.
Yeah, and whether you're introverted or extroverted, or it doesn't matter who you are, everybody needs those connections. And so, and value the people in your life and build those connections.
And Facebook and Twitter doesn't count.
Yeah, that's actually a really, really good point. Social media does not count. And that is where a lot of us try to go for our for feeding that desire, and then we end up more and more deficient in it because social media is actually almost the opposite of that. There is not that same connection there.
It can be used to rekindle, relationships, high school friends or friend you didn't even know was living close to you. You can start that process, but you actually have to step away from your computer, away from your devices, and actually go out to dinner. Have a lunch, something just so you can, and conversing over a meal. I think that is, to me, I love it. I love to do lunch, so.
And for those of you who are looking for some ideas there, I actually have a friend that she was telling me about all this fun stuff she was doing. She's like, oh, I was my line dancing friends and then my mahjong tile friends. Like, I'm like, where are you getting all these friends? Like, I like you. You're my friend, but where are you getting all these other friends? And she actually used an online resource called Meetup and found these other friend groups. So if you're looking for ways to meet people, that's something that worked really, really successfully for another friend of mine. Yeah. She's doing all these cool things.
So we've got this is basically everything we have right now for you guys. We've given you some great strategies. We've kind of defined some things for you. Hopefully you can start with that foundation, kind of figure out what makes you tick, and then move from there. But if there's any questions, I got some time for some questions here, just a little bit.
Let's see. Meetup friends. Like the friend stats. Emily says she needs a service duck. And also a sea lion. Emily, that's super random.
I love him.
And Brett, who has ducks, says, duck love. Web feet make you smile. Service ducks. I can see the service duck with its little service duck bandana.
Yes.
So funny. All right, cool.
Well, I hope we're able to answer some questions for you and kind of give you a few tips and tricks to help deal with this upcoming holiday season. Let's make it as stress-free as you can possibly make it. And if there are stressors, during this time frame, use some of the strategies that we gave you to make sure that it doesn't cause illness or any other health issues in your life.
use those techniques, and now that you have an awareness of it, you're going to be able to pinpoint it a little bit more and use some of the techniques to just bring those stress levels down. It's important. Don't live the stress lifestyle. It is not all it's cracked up to be.
No, not at all.
Yeah. And of course, if you have any questions, we're always available here in the office or by email. And when we're not on Facebook Live, we're always at healthworkstx.com, on Pinterest, Instagram. All of our videos are on YouTube, and it's all at HealthWorksTX, as in Texas. It was great hanging out with you guys.
See you later.
Bye.